guys, welcome to another episode of The Ali Show, and today we have a very special guest, Ravinder Hunia, sports journalist from SkySports, is it correct?
It is.
Yeah, I was actually like trying to figure out which is the right title, but did I get that right? Is it sports journalist?
Yeah,
Or-
even though I'm not really journalisting at the moment, but I still call myself a journalist.
Okay. So you actually started off as a journalist before you went on to...
Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
actually started as a librarian.
Yeah, that one's a very interesting story. Anyway, before we get into all of that, Ravinder, how are you today?
I am good. It's warm, but I'm good.
Yeah, this just we're right in the middle of it. Couldn't be any hotter. I'm sorry I couldn't provide a fan today. But yeah, and we'll screw a little bit the audio as well. But anyway, Ravinder, for those who might not know who you are, could you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Ravinder Hunia, as you've stated. My mother's from Te Puke in the Bay of Plenty. My dad's from India. I've been a sports journalist for 6-ish years. I'm a mother of 3, happily married, and I don't know, that's about it.
You did mention, you have a twin sister.
Yes.
Interesting story. My brother is actually twins as well.
Cool.
And, growing up, with twin brothers, like, you notice and you learn a lot of things. Like, they used to fight a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, whatever that you bought, my parents bought, like, they had to buy it in pairs. Because you can never buy one.
Yeah.
Like, it'll become a huge fight.
Yeah.
How's it like, growing up with a twin sister, especially for yourself? Like,
I've been asked that a few times, and my sister and I actually laugh about it because to us it's normal. Like we don't know life not being a
I
twin.
guess identical
Yeah,
twins?
we're identical. So we're mirror twins. So she's left-handed, I'm right-handed,
Wow.
and we were born feet to feet.
Really?
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And but like like when you were in school and all of that, were there struggles to kind of identify who is who, or?
Yes, there was. I don't know. My sister was quite the independent one though, and kind of didn't hang out with me at school. So you kind of knew who was who because she was always trying to,
Yeah, I think when I was growing up as well, I actually kind of wished that I had a twin. Yeah, really, because like
it is pretty cool.
Yeah, because like if there were certain situations that I didn't want to be in or whatever, like there's someone to cover for you.
Yeah.
I always thought of it as that way.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't want to attend whatever, then like we can take turns.
Yeah, yeah.
Just put one name and we'll both.
But
go
even
for
in
it.
those socially awkward, when you're at school and, kids kind of struggle sometimes because they haven't made friends yet or whatever, but you always had a mate with you, like the first day of school,
Exactly.
on the playground, you were never by yourself. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that's a little bit of pros and cons. Pros and cons.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, a little bit about your background, because I understand you're half Maori and half Punjab, and well, obviously you're in New Zealand and you experience the Maori side of that. How much have you experienced of like your Punjab heritage, or I understand you have not been to?
No.
Never before.
No. And now look, the world's locked down. So which
that's-
is even more tough now to try and get over there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Whereabouts exactly was your dad from? Which part?
He's from a village outside of Punjab called Droli Kurd, which is just near the Pakistani border. So top to the left a bit
Yeah.
of India.
Okay.
And grew up on a goat farm.
Okay.
And so that's what his parents used to do. My grandfather went to war and my dad was the
Wait, what? Your grandfather went to war?
Yeah, for India, yeah. He's an Indian soldier. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Which is pretty cool when
Yeah.
I think back now. But yeah, my dad was the eldest of 4. So when his dad used to leave, he was the man of the house. And
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's quite normal to like, well, in those families, like Asian families, you have the eldest kid who take care of the whole family. And especially even for like even when the parents are still around, like sometimes the parents just working all day. Like I remember, well, I have never met my grandfather, either one of my grandfathers actually, but I heard stories and he was always like out working. He'd do day jobs and night jobs,
Yeah.
and that's like basically Asian stories, you know, from back in the day. That was how it was. And I think that was my mom's side. So her eldest brother was the one who kind of looked after the whole family. So he was kind of like the father.
Yeah.
And come to think of it, like, man, we're really fortunate that we are not in that kind of situation. You know, like you want to be a kid, but like you can't be a kid and you have to be like a parent. Like, man, that's not easy.
Yeah.
And so you've never been to that part of the world.
No.
Hey, you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video.
No. And even when I had the opportunities to go, for some reason, because I have, you know, two sisters, we were kind of steered not to. And it,
I wonder why is that?
my dad's so cryptic. Like, we even can't really get it out of him now. But I think a lot of it was because, you know, my two sisters still aren't married. And at the time we were wanting to go, I wasn't married. And we were at an age where we should be married. So I think it kind of had something to do with that if you go there, like, this might happen. Like, you know, arrangements could be made.
Oh my goodness. Those are not, I don't understand this, man, coming from an Asian, you know. I really, really, really don't understand this arrangement. And I have nothing against it. But like, for me, I just don't agree with it. I don't know how people can do it. Like, and I've heard stories, you know, and you haven't met this person and you wanna get married and you're gonna live with this person.
Yeah.
What if on the second day, you know, like, first day, okay, maybe it's all smiles and laughs.
Yeah.
You don't even know what to say, right?
Yep.
Second day, what if you realize that it's not for you and you don't want it? What, you're just gonna get a divorce?
This guy's
or?
a dick. I
I
don't
was
like him. Yeah.
Oh man. And
Obviously that happens, right? Like,
okay, wait. But I think that's not the scary one. Some of the scary ones where you haven't even seen, like, I understand, you know, that well, from what I understand, you have a photo album. You go to the house. I heard this story before. Someone actually experienced this and they shared the story with me. So he went to the girl's family's house, sat down, the family brought tea and whatever, coffee, and then they'll bring a photo album. And my question was, where's the girl, bro? Like, oh, she was at the house. Why couldn't she just come out and
not allowed to?
Yeah, and like, you just look at a photo album and I was like, bro, that's so scary. What if it's not the person in the photo, man? Like, imagine they bring out some nice photos, modeling photos from like maybe 10 years ago or something like that. I was like, bro, I don't know why you even agree.
And they would show the best photos on offer too.
I was like, I don't know why you would even agree to go in the first place. But, you know, I think my eldest brother, they're twins, and they both, you know, not married, no partners at that time. And my mom actually tried to pull this trick on us. And I told my mom, I said, she was like, you know, we know some, I have some friends, they've got some daughters. I said, I know, I've got friends and they've got sons and they've got daughters. What are you trying to say? And she was like, maybe your brother could use. I said, no, don't bring up this.
Whoa.
Yeah, don't bring up this crap. You know, like, no, don't even try.
Was that here in New Zealand?
No, that was overseas. Yeah. And I was like, please don't even try that crap. I was like, we are not going to partake in any of that. But anyway, before we drift on too far, so I understand you grew up in South Auckland.
Yes. Yeah.
How could you describe, like, you know, I hear a lot of people who tell me like what it's like. I have not grown up, you know, in New Zealand, so I wouldn't really understand. But like, what does it mean, you know, growing up in South Auckland for you? How was that experience?
To be fair, growing up in South Auckland was absolutely fine. I loved every minute of it, and it wasn't really until I got older, looking back, that I kind of realised, oh, okay, you know, I'm actually really proud of where I came from. And I think, you know, is it how South Auckland's been portrayed in the media and in television and what people perceive the community to be probably has a big part of it. You know, all the riffraff comes from there, all the crime comes from there, and, you know, nothing good ever comes out of there. So when I was in South Auckland, I had two sisters growing up with me. I never felt unsafe or that I was in danger or that I couldn't walk down the street or, you know, this, that, and the other is going to happen or anything like that. But, you know, I could have been a little naive, but to me that was my environment and I loved every second of it. And but yeah, as an adult now, seeing our community, and there are struggles, there is poverty, and but I didn't see it as a struggle back then when I was younger. But when I look back now and I see the things that I've been able to do in my career coming from that community, I think I'm very, very lucky to be doing what I'm doing, but B, that it's not impossible to be able to have whatever life you want out of a community like South Auckland.
And would you say also it's like the number of opportunities that are available in those communities really affected that, like what you said, to have come out of there?
Yeah, like you don't have the private schools and the high decile education, and it really is like a village type mentality where it comes, a lot of the success out of South Auckland comes from our role models, and a lot of those role models are athletes. And because South Auckland, obviously, strong Māori and Pacific Island families, and athletically gifted. So a lot of our role models are from that community. So I think that in that instance, role models have played a big part in our community.
You talk about like schools there and all that. Do you feel that from what it was back then to now, are there like changes, or has it been like pretty much the same?
I think there's a bit of changes. I went to Otahuhu College, and when I drive past the school now and see security guards at the gates, that worries me a little bit. That wasn't there when I was there once upon a time. But things have changed over the years. Another big change was when uniforms were made compulsory, and even down to that, when families struggle to pay for uniforms. And I mean, free lunches in schools now, or free breakfasts now in schools that are needed, because there is like this food crisis in schools right now. Some families cannot afford this nutritional lunch, when you give families this list of food that they need to be giving their kids. But, fast food and junk is way more cheaper than fruit and, and all the good stuff. So
that's, I think, but, I'm not too familiar with like the school system here, but is there sufficient help like for, as what you said, parents who are in a little bit of a tight situation or who are really struggling? Is there like enough to help them and to help especially their kids? Because what I've heard recently, which the one that really scares me, was when after the whole COVID period, that I heard that there were a lot of kids who had to leave school because their parents couldn't afford. And that scares me. Like, if a kid has to be put in a situation where they can't go to school.
Yeah. That's just, and I mean, a lot of, some of those kids will say, I don't get the chance to finish school, but other kids will say, you know what, now's my time to step up and help my parents because of this thing that we can't control, and we need more money in the household. And I think it's going to take for them, in a few years' time to look back and go, holy crap, man, I had to pull out of school and do this because there wasn't sufficient support. But I think what COVID really did was expose all those flaws that are happening within our community. Like with school, when you're telling kids to go home and do online learning now, how many kids can you count that have a laptop or even, have a compatible device to even take part? It's next to nothing.
Exactly. I remember I can't remember what age I was before we even had a laptop in our home. Like
exactly.
We couldn't even afford. I think it must have
trying
been
to get a scientific
teenage.
calculator was a struggle.
That thing was so expensive, and
it was.
when you had that, you had to write your name on every corner of the thing. So like anybody that try to take it, like that.
Or you get the thing from like metalwork or something to
and
chisel it into.
engrave your name on the thing. Those were expensive, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you lose, I remember I think when I was like in primary school, if I lost even like a pencil case, when I go home, like, hiding's waiting for you when you get home. And like, you look at the kids now and like, man, they have stuff like phones at the age of 3 and 4, and
it's crazy, eh?
that's crazy. But I mean, well, there's pros and cons of that. I feel like there's whatever that advancements that come, you can use it in the right way or the wrong way, and well, in a way, I think I'm leaning towards technology. Like, I feel they need to, like, how back in the day when your parents be worried when you're not home and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Man, I think that's way better. Like, you can track your kids now. You can know where your kids are, if they're safe or not. So a bit of peace of mind. I think we're trading. It's like a good trade-off, I feel, so far. But I might be wrong.
Millennial.
Yeah. Anyway, jumping into sports journalist, Sky Sports. How did that whole thing come about? Tell us. And you mentioned a little bit about starting off as a librarian.
Yeah.
What's it? Librarian?
Yep. Yeah. Archive librarian.
Archive librarian, yeah. So tell us.
Yeah. So I was working as a case manager at Work and Income, and wanted a bit of a change. And a job at Māori Television came up to be an archive librarian. I kind of had no idea what that job was, but it was an opportunity for me to have a job involving sport, because I love sport. Was like,
when, sorry, just to pause you there. When did the whole interest for sport come about? Like, were you heavily involved in sports growing up and all that?
No.
Really?
No.
How did it?
I don't know. Well, I think my husband has a lot to blame for it, because he was, when I met him, he was a huge, he was, training jiu-jitsu and big, massive rugby league fan and whatever. So when we were in a relationship, I had to watch it because that's what he was into,
Yeah.
So I was into it. I was already
dragged you into it.
Yeah. I mean, I was already into into netball and things like that. Not playing it, but a big fan of it and players and athletes and what have you. But when I was in early stages of our relationship and we were, watching all the sport, it kind of became like a second, this is our thing. This is just what we do. We watch sports and we cover them on and off, the field or court and things like that. So it kind of became this, you become quite passionate about certain teams and certain sports. So I was like, oh yeah, coming away from, because I've been doing community work for a while, it might be a nice change to do something that you're actually, kind of passionate about. And it'll be really cool to be paid to do it. So
yeah. That would be nice.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, I get to, apply for this job and talk about how much of a nut I was, and and then basically just get to do all this archiving of sports.
And I heard you mention about back then you guys it was on tapes. That must have been a while ago.
You know what? To be fair, it's not too long ago, and to my understanding, some people are still using it.
I wonder why. Okay.
The moolah, that's why. It's cheaper. But we were doing tapes. We were dealing in tapes. So, use State of Origin for an example. Whole game, New South Wales versus Queensland was on one tape. So my job was to watch that down and note all the, pivotal moments in a game, tries, penalties, So it was all archived into the system.
Wow, you have to do all the timestamps for the whole thing. And no, man, that's not an easy task.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got to put it away. And then someone actually comes to you and is like,
so say someone wants a Jared Hayne try. It's already in the system. We know what tape, at what time, blah, blah, blah. We can pick it out, pluck it, and put it into a story.
Man, I imagine doing all that also helps you to develop a very good memory.
That's it. Yeah, that's it too, because it's in your face. You're like, not only have you watched it, you've written it down. So, you kind of becoming this little encyclopedia.
And from there, so doing that, right, and then understand you actually did some other stuff first before you moved into being a sports journalist. Yeah. And so how did that whole transition come about?
So while I was doing the archive librarian stuff, I did, this passion started to build that I wanted to be a journalist, and all the stuff that I was now learning as a librarian, I wanted to incorporate I wanted to start writing stories. I've always loved writing. I've loved, even at school, I loved English, weirdo, but loved it. So I did a bit of modelling on the side to build my confidence in front of a camera. Although I didn't have to, speak or anything to it, it just helped me to just to feel confident, because, you know, when people think of a camera, like, you can be the most amazing at what you do, you get someone in front of a camera to talk about it, and then zip, like, you won't get anything out of them. You know, you would know doing this job probably.
Yeah, and like also not only just like talking, like sometimes even performing or fighting. You know, I personally know a few people who really start to freeze under the lights. You know, everybody's looking and you know, the cameras around. And then they're just different. Yeah. You know. So
it's just this thing that comes over people. And I had that too. I still get it now. But I needed to kind of prove that I was, you know, strong in front of the camera. And if you give me direction, I can do it, or I will try my best to do it. And I did a couple of presenter platform courses, which were basically just training, script memorizing, acting, and just telling stories in front of a camera.
You actually did mention you were doing modeling, and you did like hair modeling and all that, and you actually got to travel quite a bit and experience quite a few stuff.
Yeah.
But what kind of I was the first stage when you did your modeling, you mentioned that you were not paid, and that is actually something that I hear quite often. You know, quite a few people or ladies have actually told me, like, you know, when you start out as a model, when you're doing all this, like, you don't really get paid. And I'm like, man, that's pretty crap, you know? It's a bit unfair.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you could be, even if you're paid less, I think that would be at least something. I mean, you're not paid at all. Like, and you'd imagine, like, a lot of these events and whatnot, like, they're actually making money, like a lot of money.
Yes, totally.
And yeah, it's pretty crap. Is it still the same now in this day?
To my understanding, yeah, it is. And I mean, they do exploit the fact that girls want to break into an industry and want to make it big. And you will get like some images for your time. So like they'll send you like 3 photos that you don't get to choose from, you know, for your time for doing it, and say, you know, go on your way. But there was this one time where I had done a job, I won't name the company, and then I saw the photo in a magazine.
Oh, okay.
And I hadn't been paid for it. And I was like,
dodgy fella,
you know, and now my photo's in a publication that I kind of
not making anything.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they've obviously gotten something out of it, and I've done the work and, you know, rented my hair to them that they shaved and coloured and whatnot, and didn't get anything. But I mean, the experience was, you know, I wouldn't say priceless, but the experience was great, and I got to meet, you know, some awesome people and things like that. But there does need to be a bit of education for young women starting out in that industry.
Yeah, exactly. For sure. And I think like one of the other things that I think about now is I feel like in this, okay, so back then it was real hard to get like a camera, to get like someone who knows how to take photos. You've got to be like somebody, you know, back in those days, it was like, man, you got to be a real special person to hold a camera, shoot a video and all that crap. And nowadays you can just walk in a store and you can buy this and you can learn. And the best part about like YouTube, for example, like you can just learn how to do it, which is exactly what I did. I bought all this stuff and I was like, now you learn how to do it and you do it yourself, you know? And I think I kind of hope that, you know, people actually step up and do it themselves. You can't just expect people to change stuff for you if you don't want to do it yourself.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true.
So like with access to all this stuff now, and, you know, knowledge, I would say, you know, knowledge being more easily attainable, can actually do it. And, you know, maybe just like a group of friends who are all models, and you guys just learn to do different things and do it yourself. And which is so cool. What was, you know, like, I think one of the ones that I recently noticed was, you know, guys already in the industry who've had experience, and then they use their experience to get their own stuff and do their own things. Yeah. Which was really cool. I think the recent one that comes to mind was the brother Lance Savali, who he's the dancer. Who I'm sure you're aware of him, or you've
Is
heard
this
of him? The guy, he always has different colored hair. Hey you, don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Lance Savali, yep, he is a apparently now a very famous dancer. He dances for like Chris Brown.
I have heard of him. Yes.
And yes, local boy from Auckland, of Samoan heritage. And yeah, he was on that recent Savage, was it Savage or the Fenty show? Was it? I
Right.
think it was the
Yeah.
Fenty show.
Rihanna's. Yeah.
Yeah, was it on Prime? I think it was on Amazon Prime or something like that. Yeah, but and he came back, and I just saw recently he helped one of the artists here to produce his music video.
Cool.
And he was like involved in the whole thing. He was I think if I'm not wrong, he was the producer. I might be wrong, but yeah, he was the producer. He helped all of that, and I was like, man, that's so cool.
Yeah,
like, he
that's
has
awesome.
all this knowledge, all this experience, and just to put it and help a brother out, from your home.
Yeah.
Like, that's so cool. And I hope that the other kind of struggle is, well, obviously there is a lot of money behind doing it for a big company, and when you helping your mate and like someone who's not really there yet, like there's not big financial rewards for those stuff, and like for example, I don't want, like, we don't say names, but like for example, what I'm doing here, like I'm not making any money at all, and the thing is, I've come to understand that like it's a big sacrifice for people to do those stuff. But
it is.
I think when you genuinely want to help other people, like it's like karma.
Yes.
I actually spent are you big into believing, like, the
I
karma
am.
and all that stuff?
Yeah.
I actually spent quite a lot of time living in Bali. I used to live in Bali for a while, and when you mix with the people there, the locals there, and all that, like, and that was where I think I really learned like the value of karma, and how they're big into doing good and helping other people, and it kind of comes back your way. But yeah, I think like I feel like if people go out and do that, like there'll always be something they'll get in return. Like, I mean, like what you said, with getting connections, building friendships, and those experiences. But at the same time, I feel that people should be, especially when they're doing modeling like this, I feel that they should be compensated.
Yeah, totally.
Hopefully it will change in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can only see. So with, doing up to where you were, getting to being a sports journalist and all that, what are like some of your biggest highlights so far, or in that particular role?
I've had a few. Like, I find it I say I've had a few because I feel so passionate about every story that I tell.
Exactly.
I know
what you mean.
Yeah. Like, when you talk to somebody and you just, this conversation is very different to that conversation, but they're both awesome in their own right. Like, and it's hard to put a label on which one is kind of better. Like, I've had interviews stronger than others, or scandals or dramas bigger than others, but I still wouldn't put it on a measuring thing where this was the highlight of my career. Like, the experiences are the highlights, probably more so than comparing the stories. Like, I was very fortunate to travel to the Cricket and Netball World Cup in 2019 for work, so that was cool because I got to, the experience was just amazing. I've never been to the other side of the world before, and
I was gonna say,
cool.
Doing this job that you do, you must be, paid to travel quite a bit.
Well, not quite. I mean, through New Zealand, but not around the world. I mean, that was probably it.
was that the only?
Yeah.
Oh, would you be open to like traveling overseas and all that?
Oh yeah. I mean, and again, it depends what's happening and what I'm actually chasing. I'm a really big believer in like, if I can't put 100% into something, if I'm not fully on board with it, then I'm not going to do it justice, because at the end of the day, what I do is capturing, a team, a coach, an athlete, and a moment in time, or, it could be their biggest moment in their career or something like that. So if I know, and I know myself, that I can tell that story the best, then I'm 100% invested. So it would depend. It would depend what I'm going over there for to do. Like, I mean, if they were like, "Oh, Ravinder, we're going to send you to Spain," and I'm like, "Yes," and then they're going to go, and it's for tiddlywinks. I'm like, ooh, Like, I want to, Spain would be amazing, but how am I the best person to do that job?
Would it actually have an impact in your career, or would you say the magnitude of the story?
I think the magnitude in terms of them, the person that I'm going to deal with, because, you know, when I walk away from any story, you know, I think to myself, have I done them justice? When they watch that on the news or wherever they're going to watch it, are they going to say, yeah, that is exactly what it was, that was it, the intent, that was the moment? Or are they going to say, she doesn't know what the hell she is talking about, why was she even here? Or, you know, like, but I know that if I go and talk to someone and I'm passionate about it, that hopefully they're very proud of the product.
Mm-hmm. And like talking about, you know, like traveling and going away, how has it been for you? Like, you know, leaving behind your husband and your kids, being away for like, so far it's been like maybe days at a time, like it hasn't been like more than weeks or.
Well, the trip to UK was a month.
Oh yeah.
4 or 5 weeks.
And how did you handle that?
So the first week was great. Like I get there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm in London. This is amazing. But, you know, the novelty wears off and it's lonely. You know, you're there by yourself and you're like at a World Cup. You know, you have a TVNZ reporter there, you have a News Hub reporter there, and, you know, a couple of newspaper fringe guys there as well. But you're actually all there competing to tell the best story as well. So you're there together, but you're not, you know, like you're kind of keeping your cards close. So you can't really, it's not a social time. And it's not like you can go out and party and whatever, because you have to get up the next morning, the next day, go to Lord's Cricket Ground, watch the next game and report and do it all over again. So
yeah, I would want to say like it must be very competitive because you're all, well, you got to have like a variety of stuff to talk about as well. Because and I want to say, like, I don't know what the environment is like. I've never experienced it, but like I would imagine it's quite stressful. Everybody's fighting for the mic. Yeah. You know, who gets the mic first? Who gets the juiciest question? Yeah. And if you even get the mic at all.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like, so how do you, in that environment, how do you like handle all that? Or how do you make sure that you have like, okay, now we've got like 50 over people. Yeah. How do you ensure that you've traveled there or you've went there and you get the mic and you get to ask your question?
Yeah, so the first thing, the one big thing that I took away from that experience was because obviously there was times where I didn't get the mic and I was actually in a room with 200 other journalists from all around the world. And I put my hand up and they come around with a mic and you get to ask your question. But, you know, there's a lot of times they either didn't give me the mic or said, yep, you're next. But old mate next to me wants to ask 5 questions. And because he's a big, you know, BBC or whatever guy, he can just carry on and then time's up and then that's it kind of thing. But what I learned from that was, before I go into those situations again, and I've done it ever since, is building rapport with the media people themselves, letting them know you're there, letting them know who you're with, letting them know what your intention is for that press conference, and trying to befriend them.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say, you always have to have connections with the people who call the shots when you go to these places. Yeah. And I was gonna say, like, you want to make friends with the person who's walking around with the mic. Yeah.
No, but then even that person, they have to go where they're told to go. Yeah, so even if I
go find the big boss and like make yourself known.
Yeah. Here's a cup of tea.
Say, hey, look, hi. And give the handshake and you squeeze it a little bit. You gotta remember my name.
Yeah.
Man, I imagine that's like pretty tough, you know, being in that whole media. It's a very rough kind of environment. Everybody's like, like what you said, you know, like you're all smiling to each other and all of that, but you know, it's like a dog-eat-dog environment.
Because I'm over there, obviously, I was still a rookie, and cricket is not my forte.
They just chucked you in the deep end.
Well, because I was the netball reporter.
Okay.
But because they couldn't send 2 reporters to England, I had to cover the cricket and the netball, they were back to back. So that's why I was there for so long.
Why couldn't they send 2 people?
Money. Don't want to spend the money. But in that moment, though, I kind of thought, you know, I'm here with all these cricket heads, and you know, when Virat Kohli walked into the room, like, I don't play cricket or I'm not a big cricket specialist, but my dad's Punjabi, and cricket has always been on in our house growing up, and he is like, you know, so when he walked in the room, I was like, am I going to ask Farah a question? Because like, I'm just blown away that he's in the room. Like, what do you call it when a celebrity walks in?
Starstruck?
Yeah, starstruck.
Yeah.
I was starstruck when he walked in the room and I felt like such a dick. I was like, I'm supposed to be there all professional, get ready to ask him a question, and I didn't. I didn't even try.
It takes a while to warm up. Like,
Right? Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So I saw him like 2-3 times, and I saw him in Manchester kind of lose his wig a bit when he was out in the semi-final against New Zealand. So I was like, oh yeah, I can ask him a question now. Okay. He's a bit human now. Okay, yeah, I can talk to him now. He's got a temper
And
on
at
him.
the back of your mind, you're thinking, man, if I ask the wrong question, my dad is gonna be on me.
Yes, I
and
was thinking that.
And that punishment is gonna go on for years. Oh no.
No, he was fine as long as I bought him the shirt. So
Oh yeah, and the signature as well, the autograph.
there wasn't an autograph. I didn't have a Vivid on me, but
Ah.
he got a polo.
But at least, well, you know, now next time you take the item and the Sharpie as well. Don't
like
forget
this
that.
crazy fan and look totally uncool to the other
Yeah,
reporters.
but
but
I know, you know, I completely understand that, you know, and you know, sometimes it's a bit funny. You have friends or mates and like, hey, can you help me to get this signature like that? And
yeah,
like,
I get that all the time.
I'm like, I'm not gonna get all the signature for you, man. If you want it, go get it yourself.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like, but you know, sometimes you have very good friends, and it's quite hard to say no.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you'll find.
But some of the athletes you deal with, they're you know the ones that are cool like that and won't even think twice to do it for
yeah,
you.
they'll just do it.
But there are others you're just like, nope,
Man,
not doing
like,
that.
For me personally, like, I don't know. I feel I'll be like quite annoyed if people kept coming up to you and asking you to sign this and sign that and take photos and whatnot. But do you get that? Like, you know, being on TV, people obviously see you when you know, we talk about Sky Sport. You know, you have a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
What are the numbers like? No, I'm just kidding.
Good question.
But you know, you guys have a lot of viewers and all that. Like, do you get that? Like when you walk around in public and you know, people say, "Hey, that's that. You know, that's that lady from Sky. She's the
No.
Nah.
I get like
Not yet.
I get like people going
Oh, okay.
like that,
Familiar.
but not yeah, I'm not a rock star. So.
Not yet. Soon, maybe. How long have you been like in front of the camera? You'd say.
In front of the camera since 2016.
4 years and a bit.
Ish.
Yeah, I think usually like it'll take like maybe a couple more years and more people start
Household
to recognize you. Yeah, hopefully, who knows, eh? I think that's the other one as well. Like, because Sky is not, it's not like the main channels. Or what do you call it here?
Free to air or
free to air TV. So, but well, the premium subscribers know who you are, so that's not too bad. Like what? Okay. Talking about that, obviously we talk about the highlights, you know, all the rainbows and sparkles and all that. And I want to ask, like, what are the challenges, man? Like, what has been the toughest challenges for you being in that industry or this job that you're doing?
Well, it's funny you ask that because when I look at your shirt, CKB, I think of MMA, and I've been trying to front foot this sport in particular in broadcast, you know, for longer than I've been on TV or I've actually been a reporter. Trying to push those sports, which back then was out of the box sports. So now it's slowly starting to make its way mainstream, but it was getting those sports the airtime and the recognition. That's probably the biggest challenge that I've ever tried to, like, it is hilarious to think that once upon a time I was fighting to do a story about Izzy.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Man.
And like, who is that guy? We don't know who that guy is. And I'm like, he's fighting for a title on Glory. We have to have him. We have to do the story.
Yeah, and even Glory is a big organization
right?
in itself.
But not here. No, I mean, inside the fight bubble, yes. Inside, if you talk to anyone to do with, you know, it is to them. But not to, you know, old mate living in
mainstream
the country or whatever, you know? So that's been a big struggle. And yeah, so it was about building like the trust of my producers to trust in me that, you know, what I'm saying here is a story and newsworthy. But I've had that also, you know, with other sports that people don't really give too much attention to, but are producing these amazing athletes.
Like, for example, when you say for for MMA. I understand you've previously done a interview with Izzy, and it's funny to think that he might probably be the one who kind of pushed everything out.
Yeah.
And more of the other MMA fighters get recognition now, and like Dan and all that. Yeah, like it's the other one that man, I don't know if I should talk about this, but okay. Anyway, since we got into it, the other one that kind of pissed me off a little bit, and some people might not want to say, but it's with this whole quarantine and this booking and all this good stuff that's going on, okay, and we have fighters who are going abroad to compete on the world stage, carrying the New Zealand flags. And what annoys me a little bit is these people are not getting help from the relevant parties or maybe people in government to kind of help to process and facilitate. And I don't want to say that they need to be given like real special treatment and all that, but you have some of the other organized sports organizations that have things made a lot easier for them.
Yeah.
Man, they practically don't have to do anything, like, and so like, for me, when I look at, like, for example, the recent one would be coaches being not able to go to corner their fighters. Well, that really got to me because, like, imagine now you train the whole team of the All Blacks, and then we can't get enough spaces in quarantine, so 5 of you are going and playing for the rest of us. Like, that doesn't work.
That would never happen.
And that's what kind of gets to me now, is why is there not people from the government or from places or chairs of power who are trying to help facilitate for the boys or the girls who going away to fight, for their coaches and all that. Like, I'm not saying they give them free stuff, like they'll pay and they'll still do it, but just help to facilitate this, like.
There's a few things that need to be taken into consideration on behalf of these guys, is that they've been representing New Zealand for many years now, and it's not like they're not contributing back to, how, it's all about the economy and what is, gonna, if it wasn't for these guys, people wouldn't be looking at New Zealand as a viable place to breed these MMA fighters, which gives us, a world spotlight. Yeah, exactly. And it feels like the community are the only ones woke to this. And that when people like Izzy do stand up and say, we are doing these things for our country on this stage and we get no recognition, but that comes back, to, I say quite carefully, but it comes back to organizations like mine that, when we set a tone, that although they might not be, away fighting on Fight Island right now, that the sport doesn't just stop and fall over. Exactly. That it is a full-time job, it is a full-time gig, and they are traveling on behalf of our country. And that, with the virus changing, the bar has been changing with it. So, I mean, I don't know. It's bloody.
Yeah, and like, what I mean, city kickboxing, when people talk city kickboxing now, like from around the world, they know it's from Auckland, New Zealand, best MMA gym in the world.
Yeah.
In the world. And like, how is it our own country is not supporting our athletes who are going and who have built this or got the gym to the standard that it is, put New Zealand on the map, not just the gym, but like the whole country on the map. And the country is not doing anything to help these fellas.
Because they aren't going away to go on holiday. They're leaving here to go to work, This is their job. And they're leaving here. It's an employment thing. I mean, imagine if Izzy was told, you can go, but you can't come back in the country for 2 months. And,
which is what Dan's situation is right now.
Yeah. And he's got a family and a child and a business to run and all those things.
Anyway, talking about Dan, since we're there, what are your thoughts on his? Well, I understand you did an interview with him before he had his fight, and what are your thoughts now on after the fight?
So watching the fight, I'll start there. I just thought, mate, I felt I felt horrible for him. That is 100% not the result that he would want to have and against that opponent. But at the same time, it's the fight game, and anything can happen in the fight game. It's, you have a 50% chance when you walk into the octagon, and Dan is well aware of that could be a possibility, that could happen. But I'll admit, when he left his gloves in there, I was really, really worried. I was like, Dan, no.
Do not go anywhere near the microphone.
Walk
Stay
away.
away from the microphone. I saw unfortunately that wasn't the result. Then we were watching with the boys from the gym. We all at one of the boys' place. We were all watching, and when that happened, everybody was just quiet. Just silence.
Yeah.
We couldn't say anything, and we were all just jammed. We literally was jammed for a minute or two. Nobody said nothing. It was quiet. And man, I just I didn't know what to say. And then when I saw him starting to take out his gloves, I was please
no. Yeah.
Do not say anything, man. Because that's
take your gloves off and take them with you.
That's a very emotional. It's a very emotional moment. High pressure, high stress.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'd be disappointed. The fight got stopped.
And he's a very proud man. He's a very proud fighter, and he's, represented New Zealand, and, he's gone over there without his, the coach, without his corner, and, and then that was the result. After all this, he's done all this work to still get there despite everything.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't know if a lot of people might not understand how the fight was going or what was going on, but the fight started really well.
He
was doing really well.
Totally.
He was very calm, very composed. He was doing exactly what he needed to do. But one of the other things that I noticed, maybe for me perhaps, was that Chandler was really pushing and trying to rush it. And every shot that he was throwing with, it was 101%.
Yeah.
He was trying, you could see from very clear, and might be a little bit different to some of his other fights. So you actually, if you go and look at a few of his other fights, that's not usually how he goes. But then again,
especially when you think about what Dan can bring if you try and do that.
That's what I was thinking as well. And so he had as for what Eugene was saying, he had a bit of a different game plan this time, a bit more composed, a bit more thinking, and he was doing all of that. It was going really well. And Chandler, hats off to him. It was his UFC debut. He didn't want to he wanted to make full use of it, the card he was on, the size of this pay-per-view, and he was throwing every shot with bad intentions, 101%. There was he wasn't starting slow. And usually that was for a fight like that, you don't want to press too hard too fast.
That's right.
But you get caught, and it's if it lands in the right space,
that's it
can put any man down. As hard of a chin as you have. Unfortunately, it was quite sad. But glad he didn't take the microphone and didn't talk after that. So
since
well, I think I don't know. I feel sometimes, for me personally, when you take a loss like that, or when something like that happens, I feel it's better to take some time off and just keep quiet and just recoup and think about things.
You need to process it first,
exactly,
and then be of a sound mind to kind of react to it. And to be honest, he doesn't owe anyone a damn thing. He doesn't owe anyone an explanation. Everyone watched the fight. Everyone saw what happened. What could Dan say to change it? Absolutely nothing. So he'll talk when he wants to talk.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, especially that was from the fight that it kind of got to me a little bit, not being able to have your coaches there, in your corner. I understand, even Dan, man, what the thing is, these guys, all of them, Eugene, Dan, and they're all really humble. They're really nice people, and they won't say it, but man, I can say whatever I want. So man, it just pissed me off. It's the fact that they are unable to do so. They will, and as what Eugene said, he would never want to not be able to go, but the circumstances put it in such a way it's so difficult for them to go. And if he does go for that, he's going to be away for so long. He can't train the other fighters. So many of these other boys are depending on their coaches, their team. And the fact that, I would like to say that sometimes your coaches can see things that you can't.
Yeah.
You know, it's a friend of mine actually had this really good reference. It's but you know, he says like when a burp poops on your head, like you can't see it. You know, someone, you know what I mean? Like that's a really like layman explanation. But this friend of mine, he used to say this to me when things were happening, or you know, that's what he would say to me. And I really when that whole thing happened, that just came back to me, and I was like, man, it's so true. Like if you had someone, man, obviously as intelligent as Eugene Behrman, this guy probably sees things 3 steps ahead of other people, you know.
Yep.
Some of the big thoughts that was in my head was like, man, I felt that Eugene could have seen what he was trying to do, and
Possibly,
at least given him some form of a word, you know, some words or whatever, their code words or whatever they use to kind of alert him, hey, look, this guy is trying to set this up. Man, you know, that really got to me.
Because it's different. I mean, you can go to a fight. I mean, here I am talking like I'm a UFC fighter, but you can go to a fight, you know, with the best plan. But once you're there and you're vibing it and it's fight week and whatever, you know, you are having those different discussions. You're having that, you know, what you're saying about Eugene, that wisdom, that, you know, he can see things, he can feel things now because it's the environment. So yeah, you gotta feel for Dan that he wasn't able to have that. But at the same time, it was not a fight that he could not do, you know? Like this was an important part of his UFC
he took
journey.
great pride in, like, you know, taking that fight when nobody else wanted, you know, and
exactly.
he took that challenge, he took that, you know, and he's like what he says, you know, he's a gambling man, which is so true, you know, like this is kind of the sport that it's well, I wouldn't not, there's a certain part of it that's like a gamble, but you know, he was willing to take all the risk.
Yeah.
He was willing to take it all on. So hats off to him. I'm sure he's going to come back stronger. I think he's going to, you know, he's going to work on a few things, and like what Eugene said, fix a few of these mistakes. And I definitely look forward to him fighting, you know, some of the top in the world.
Yeah, totally.
He's already in that, he's in that conversation. He's in the top 10.
And even after this fight, he hasn't dropped out of it either.
Yeah, and to think of like, you know, the performance that Dustin Poirier actually did, knocking out Conor McGregor in the second round, and you look at the fight that, you know, Dan, I would say, you know, it was a relatively close fight, which, you know, Dan had with Dustin Poirier. And I don't know if you remember, but there was, I think it was the second round, Dan was almost close, very close to stopping him.
Yeah.
And that just plays back in my head. But, you know, styles makes fights, different fighters have different, you know, they square out, you know, differently against each other. But when that happened and I looked at that, I was like, man, that'd be interesting if that happens again.
Yeah.
You know? Hey, you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. I don't know if you were aware of, you know, being in this whole media news industry, of the recent drama that, man, there was, I want to say drama, maybe drama is not the right word. But what happened on radio of John Banks, who made some...
Oh, yes, I'm aware.
Yeah, let's talk about it. But yeah, about John Banks and the caller and the remarks that was said on live radio. Because I understand you were with Radio RNZ for a while.
I was with RNZ, yep, for a long time. And I think this one was Magic Talk. Magic Talk?
Yeah, I think Magic Talk was the name of it. Yeah.
Used to be Radio Live.
Okay.
Now Magic Talk on that. And
there's no magic in that talk at all.
And you can see, you know, everyone trying to, or scramble's probably a harsh word, but, you know, all the other commentators and presenters trying to, you know, I don't know, put things out there to show that this is not, you know, the opinion of the organisation as a whole. It's not our opinion. This is what happened on that talk, and that does not reflect, you know, our values and principles, which I think is really cool. But it's just like toothpaste. Once it's out of the tube, it is very hard to put back, especially right now when it's so fresh. Ooh, makes me cringe even thinking about it.
Man, I don't like... who was the guy who actually called in? Who was that joker?
I don't know.
Was he someone like a public figure, or was he just like a normal
I understood it to be a caller,
just
like someone.
a random caller.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, I was thinking like if that was a guy who was in a pub, fuck, man, what the? But yeah, it's like his reply was what shocked me even more. I was like, what? You know, you being in that position, and you know, I would imagine you say something about what this guy is saying.
Yeah,
He
like
just
shut it down.
And this fella just fucking added on to it. I was like, what the heck?
This is a former mayor.
Yeah.
As
And
well. Person of the people, apparently.
yeah, and I was talking with some colleagues of mine, and we were talking about this, and my mate was asking me, is he a white guy? Is he an old white guy? Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. And I was like, man, and it's that kind of got to me as well. Like what my mate said. Like it seems like that's a general thing.
That's the profile. Yeah. That's what people expect.
My goodness. And I would imagine this joker probably is, you know, he's been in New Zealand for his whole life. And if you kind of still be, you know, thinking that way, that's a problem. You know?
To be on that platform and to say that on your platform is to be so comfortable.
Is that like a big, do they have like a lot of like listeners and stuff like that? Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not good.
They do.
That's not good.
Just up the road.
Oh.
But it was really, I was disappointed to hear it. I think even if you weren't Māori, you were disappointed to hear it. And
yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It was bloody, you know, a human issue, human race type issue. But, you know, these are the types of things that happen. And then we try to say that we don't have this problem here in New Zealand. Like, you know, and now that the word education comes up again where, you know, people in schools need to learn about this, that and the other. But it comes back to kind of what I was saying before about being from South Auckland and the perception of the people within that community, the Māori and the Pacific Island communities, and what we on our platforms, how we portray those communities and those people like. And that's what we do. That's what media does. Like if there's like a car chase and they crash in Otahuhu, which is not South Auckland, which is actually under Auckland City Council, a crash in, you know, South Auckland, drunk driver, da-da-da-da-da. So it's those little things that, you know, when we hear this, we're like outraged. But as a community in media and broadcast, we actually don't do those little things right anyway. And we label people in the way we describe things happening in the world, which doesn't help. Which I think sometimes when you read things like that and you think that that's the perception of people, you do think that you're free to speak that way because it's kind of what's
already
happening. Exactly. This isn't anything new. It's just disgusting to hear it.
On the platform that he has. What do you think realistically, is there anything that's going to happen to him? Like, is he going to be cut off radio or are they still going to have him?
He has been cut from what I understand. Yeah, he's been pulled off the air. But I don't know. Like I said, that toothpaste thing, that's really hard to... I even went as deep as to looking at different radio stations and looking at their commentators and presenters and who they are and I'm like, you know, okay, how many Māori and Pacific Island people are actually talking on these shows that all of our people listen to? And, you know, like when I listen to something like that, I feel like it's not safe for me to listen to that. Like it's not safe for me as a person because I'm like, is this the perception that people have of my people? Like, is this how you really think? Why would I listen to you now? You know? So I was going through like different websites of different radio stations and having a look, because you usually have a list of people that talk on air, and I was just like, none of them look like me.
And the other thing as well is like with the younger generation now, obviously, like, I mean, like for myself, man, I rarely listen to radio. Like in this day and age, like even when you're driving, like chances are you listen to your music. It's so easy to have your phone connected to your car and play your music, listen to your podcast, listen to your audiobooks or whatever. I feel like I don't know. I feel like radio is not as what it was, but still there is a large number of people who still consume this content from radio.
See, we wouldn't have known that this had even happened had it not gone on social media, right?
Exactly. Thank goodness for social media. Because
we wouldn't have known.
it used to be, well, if you think about it, it used to be a time where people could say whatever and like, was it really, it might have been recorded, maybe not. And if anything were to have come out and someone were to speak up about it and say, hey, look, this person said this, contact the radio station, make a complaint, and radio station can just turn around, sorry, we don't have any recordings. Which is not the case, because we know that chances are everything's recorded. But they can just turn around and say, sorry, we don't have it. And, you know, damage control, there's been a damage control there, you know. But now, like, once it's recorded, can't run away, like, it's there.
Yeah.
Man, but man, I'm glad to hear, I didn't know the follow-up of what happened to that guy, but
to my understanding, I'm not sure of anything.
Oh, we might be wrong. Okay.
Of anything, I'm pretty much guarantee he's not going to be. He won't be back on air. But but at the same time,
thank goodness they got rid of that fella.
Yeah, it's
and like it makes you a little bit worried as well. Like, if this guy said this now and it was recorded and shared, I'm just thinking of all the other, I don't know how many years or however long this guy's been on, and the ideas or the types of conversation that he has pushed out, and kind of like when you, like for example, when you listen to radio like every day, after a period of time, you feel like you build a connection with this person when you've never spoke to this person before.
I totally agree with that.
And you tend to align your, well, it depends, not all, but you tend to align your ideologies, you know, in the same kind of views as this person.
Yeah.
And I just get worried, like, man, this guy has probably influenced a lot of people to think and act in this way.
Yeah. When people are free to talk and share their ideas and interact with listeners or viewers or whatnot, like what we're doing right now, you can't really escape who you are and your values and beliefs, and you kind of put it all out there for all to bear, you know, for it to bear. And when, like, you think you know them, because you actually do, that these people are talking to you every day about, you know, what they've seen, what they've heard, what they've experienced, what they think about it. So then when you do hear something like this, that's exactly what you would think. Okay, so this guy, obviously this has been the way he has thought and gone about life, and has been his idea of, you know, this group of people.
Yeah. Oh, well, anyway, let's not give this guy any more attention than he needs to. Jumping back to the whole combat sport now. I understand you do a bit of boxing yourself, and you're quite into boxing and all that.
Yeah, I love it.
So how's that whole experience with like boxing and all that? Are you training for to like have a corporate fight or stuff like that?
I'm
or?
hoping to. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm training with Henry Schuster and
oh, that's actually Junior's ex or previous trainer.
Yeah. So he's out at he was a trainer at Shane Cameron's gym, and he's out with us in Howick at the box office. So shout out crew. But yeah, no, we're trying to get a little team together. Well, the gym's trying to get a little team together to have a look at some corporate fights this year and get the gym humming and the level of boxing up a bit. But yeah, it's awesome.
How do you feel like you know, you obviously being in a position where you are, like, you know, you don't want to sustain too many injuries to them.
The money maker.
I was gonna say, like, for me, it doesn't matter if I break a nose or my face is crooked, because, you know, it's not as big of an impact. But like for yourself and the platform that you are on, your bosses might be a bit worried when they hear you're trying to get corporate.
I actually haven't said this out loud before, so we may have a problem now. No,
possibly.
No, I don't worry about that. I absolutely love it. Like, I feel like I have a special relationship with boxing, and just a big respect for the sport.
Is there a reason why boxing, not kickboxing?
Yeah. So a few years ago, I saw this post on Facebook, Diamonds in the Ring. So it was a promotion, still is a promotion run by Daniela Smith. and actually I came here to this building for my very first training session for that
Wow.
card. Yeah, once upon a time. And and it was to raise money for the Women's Refuge, which is something I was really passionate about. So I was like, oh, I'll go down there and I'll see what it's all about. And it just went from there. It turned like all these people showed up, got split into 2 teams. And at the end of the, 12 weeks, we're all going to be matched up and we fight on this corporate card at the ABA. And it was cool because I got to meet, a lot of women who had been affected by domestic violence, either, themselves or their mums or their sisters or their aunties or whatever, and we're all there, on the same kaupapa for the Women's Refuge. So I myself have gone through, I call myself a survivor of domestic violence once upon a time. And so it was kind of like therapeutic in a sense, where it kind of had nothing to do with the boxing at the time. And we all like spoke this language that I've never been able to experience with anyone else before, because I'd never been comfortable to talk about my story or my journey with it and whatever. And then I'd ended up in this place, where boxing was incorporated, and it was kind of the vessel to help me let go of a lot of demons. So
I think that's that's why I feel that women should like get into they, as parents, a lot of parents don't want their daughters to go into that because that's not a female sport. Like you don't do that. Like that's why I feel like, well, I say this because I have a daughter, but I think that women like need to at least learn the basics, because like you talk about like being a victim. If put it this way, like I mean, obviously men and women are not like, they don't, it's just physically it's different, you're just built different. But what if women or girls know how to fight or know how to protect themselves better? I think that could be a big factor in to stop the kind of abuse happening.
Well, when you say that, I 100% agree, but I think the biggest thing I still get out of it is the psychological strength that I get from it too.
Yeah,
like I just feel like after every training session, like I'll get in the car and I'm driving home and I'm just singing. I'm so happy. It just takes me to a place where I just feel so strong and confident, and I back myself, I back myself like I've never backed myself before, because I don't know, like boxing just takes me there, like mentally as well.
Yeah, I think like and like I was asking why kickboxing, why boxing, not kickboxing. The other one is like, for myself, I just didn't want to get kicked in the face. I just joke.
Yeah, that's a plus.
I just joke about this all the time, but I just don't want to get kicked in the face.
I do enjoy kickboxing though. I do enjoy it.
Right, no kicks to the face.
Yeah, I'm pretty tall, which is a plus though.
Oh yeah, it actually does. It does help a lot. But to think about that, like, and I think this is the other one that I hear a lot of females talk about, is the pressure of walking into the gym for the first time.
Yes.
And especially like if it's not just like a female only session or female only gym, the more pressure there is.
Yeah.
Because you have all these guys, some, like they look like they're gonna kill each other, like, and then you want to walk into that environment. It's not easy. But which is also why, like, you had Nyreen Crowley on your podcast or your show as well, and talking about that and what she's doing and how she wants to like go out and help, women in New Zealand be more confident, be more brave, face, and just learn martial arts. That's really cool.
Yeah, the representation is important, Like we can say, we need more women, but when women can only see men there, like that's half the battle. That, I don't know, like it'll be like, you know, if a guy was to go into a class that was full of girls, they might not feel comfortable too. Like, it's the familiarity and the.
Although a lot of guys would want that, but they might.
Whoa.
I don't know any guy who doesn't want that. Something wrong with it. But okay, anyway, it might be a bit awkward. Yeah, might be a bit awkward. But
It's just that common ground. You know, it's just that common ground. Like they can see her doing it. Okay, well, okay, it must be all good. Like I feel good to do that too. It's like any situation when you can relate to something, you feel a bit more comfortable knowing that you can do it and take part too. You might get to the end of the class and go, oh, this isn't really for me, or see you guys tomorrow. Like, but the stepping in the door is the big thing.
I think the other one is the fact that she's going out there, putting herself out there, getting herself known, sharing this message and doing it. Because I feel like that's what's a little bit lacking here. Like, you know, you have all this incredible women around New Zealand who are doing like big stuff for combat sports. But I also feel like they're not coming out as much. Man, there's a lot of struggles. It's not easy. You know, it's hard itself being a female combat athlete. You know, I look at it sometimes and I understand. Like, I was having a very long talk with Gina G the other day, and we were talking about a lot of this stuff. You know, the kind of unfair advantage that males have if they go into sports. You know, and all this sort of stuff. It's unfair. You know, and like we talk about boxing or MMA. You know, the big discrepancy in how much you're getting paid for these fights as well, all that sort of stuff. You know, it's quite sad. Like, but I think like the world itself is moving in a good direction. Like, you know, you have, you know, everybody talks about like, you know, you have, for example, like, you know, Conor McGregor or Habib or like people who really elevating the sport. You know, like you have Floyd Mayweather, he was like well known everywhere, and then you have Ronda Rousey and you have Holly Holm, and then for like boxing you have and there's a few, Katie Taylor and Cecilia Breckhus. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name right. Yeah, you probably know who Cecilia is, and how like they've done a lot for the sport. And like, man, Cecilia she was an absolute like, she still is. Sorry, I don't want to say was. She still is an absolute killer, you know, in boxing. And like, oh, I don't know if you heard she actually had a last fight which she lost, and they're having a rematch soon.
Oh, okay.
They're having
That's
a
cool.
rematch. Cecilia's
Nice.
the post-fight interview, she actually was leading towards the direction of retirement. That's why I say it's very dangerous to talk after you get lost. So she was leaning towards that direction, and she was saying like, no, she's happy that this I forgot her name. I think it's oh man, I can't remember her name. Jessica, maybe. Yeah, but anyway, so the person she lost to was an American boxer, and she was saying like, you know, it's good. She's like passed the torch and all that sort of stuff. I was like, man, don't say all of that. Like, think about it carefully first, you know. And then, but anyway, it's because I still feel like she still has a lot in her tank, you know, and she's going back. She's gonna have a rematch, and I mean that's definitely a fight that I want to watch, you know. So I feel like it's moving in that direction, but it'll take a while. With all things, it'll take time. But I really do hope, like, you know, there's female athletes who go out there and fight, and like, you know, they sacrifice their pretty faces and getting, you know, like, they should be at least paid close to the same. Like, or if they don't have like a huge following, you know, there's so many other factors that come into play. People know them. You know, are you going to bring people who watch our sport? All this sort of crap. You know, you have the business side of things as well, which we've all got to think about. You know, but yeah, I hope it does move in that direction, and you know, I hope more women across different disciplines, like, you know, you have your jiu-jitsu girls, you have your wrestling girls. You know, like, I hope like more can be done. Yeah, and I think the other one that to build a fight community, you've got to have more gyms, more trainers, more teachers. I don't want to say. I gotta be careful saying the word trainers. I gotta have more teachers. That's right. Because you can, you know, that's the other thing. Like, you have, I think this day as well, you have a lot of trainers, but you know, they're not really
I know.
something like that. Yeah,
I
they're
think
not-
I know what you're trying to
they're
say,
not
but
really teaching like the proper art of the sport, you know, like it's all aerobic and like,
Yeah.
you know, you want fast and,
yeah,
you know, so I hope like there are more people who really devote themselves to learning the art and then like sharing that and instilling these values in these
Yeah.
other people as well.
yeah, and we don't
the
just
females.
get. It'd be the one thing I would love to see with women, just carrying on from what you said about women participating, is that when they are on these cards or they are, you know, selected to fight in whatever capacity, that it's not a yay, paki for your participation. You know, it's an actual, it's on this card and it's as legitimate as any other fight on this card sort of thing, because it's kind of, sometimes I feel it's, you know, kind of portrayed that way, or, you know, we're ticking the diversity box by having them on here, but yeah, just the respect that they deserve, and it will take people like Nyreen to talk about their experiences and to normalize a woman's experience. And something she said that was interesting in that podcast was, you know, you're made to be quiet and you just need to step it up, and you want to be treated fairly, then you need to be like this. You need to be like these guys. And so that's the generation that she's come through, training in gyms full of men. And she does want to be treated like them. And she does want to, when she comes in, she wants to be greeted just the same as them. She wants, when you're doing drills, like she can do the drill just as hard as this guy can. But at the end of the day, you know, there is a difference. And I think that's also something that she's trying to put across, is that, you know,
We were talking about Henry Schuster just now and talking about Junior Fa. So, Junior Fa's upcoming fight with Joseph Parker.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on that fight? I would like to hear what was your opinion? What is your opinion and what's your prediction?
Okay, God. It's tough because, first of all, we haven't seen them fight in a blooming long time now, but one thing I'm really excited about is that we have these two homegrown heavyweight boxers going at it, you know, and it's going to be great for our New Zealand audience and around the world. Like, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited that there's going to be this card with, you know, all these other fighters on it as well. And that's just awesome for the sport.
Prediction time.
Predictions.
Oh, people are going to be watching and taking notes now.
Because I've been like, I mean, I say I'm a journalist, but I've been kind of, you know, studio bound with doing podcasts myself. So I haven't been able to get to gyms and watching, you know, people train like I usually would if I was, you know, on the beat. Yeah, I don't know. I actually do not know.
Are you sure?
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't.
Okay, who are you leaning towards? Let's just put it there. Who are you leaning
I'm
towards?
sitting at CKB and you're asking me.
There's a bit of pressure there.
I'm not going to make it out the door.
Gina's actually coming in a while now. Just kidding.
And here he is.
No, but actually, he might be coming in a while. No,
Oh my God, stop.
Okay, who are you leaning towards? Like, who do you think might be able to pull it off?
I think both of them can pull it off. I honestly think that. I think for Junior Fa, at this point of his career, a win of this magnitude for him would propel him to heights that, you know, he would have been hoping for that opportunity for a very long time. And, you know, a quality win against Joseph Parker, who has held the belt before, is that fight. Like, and if he can do that, like have the, you know, the opportunity to do it at home, which a lot of fighters do not get the chance to do, to have a fight of this quality at home, is a great, great, great opportunity for Junior Fa to propel himself in the rankings. For Joseph Parker, in my opinion, I feel he needs to win this fight because of where he currently lies in the rankings and, you know, his kind of results over his last few fights. And to stay relevant in the division and to get the fights that he wants to get, he needs a good win under his belt.
Yeah, he's in a bit of a tight spot, eh?
It's a funny situation for him, isn't it? Like,
you know, with the first the loss to AJ and then the loss to Dylan White, and then he went on to have 2 wins. But the 2 wins that he's had were, I would say, maybe the quality of the opponents.
This is it.
The you know.
Yeah.
The standard is not as high as what it was the 2 fights before that. And yeah, he's in a bit of a tight spot, but and also like for Junior, yes, like what you said, this would be, which I believe and I'm fully confident that he can pull off a good performance.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's kind of like the thing where they always he's like the underdog, going into this, especially, and I can't blame people for thinking that way.
Yeah.
Because Joseph Parker was really smart in promoting himself in and out of the ring. With like especially, I think one of the ones that I've actually had a few mates who talked to me about his videos he did when he was in quarantine, which is really funny, and it was it catches, entertaining, catches your attention, and people find out, oh, who's this guy? Oh, is he a heavyweight boxer? Oh man, and then they're like people who don't even know about boxing or heavyweight boxing, and to have brought that attention, that was good. And like, yeah, if like like you said, if Junior Fa does pull this off, which we are confident that he will, and pressure's on you, Junior. But he'll put himself in a very good position.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't know if you know this, but he used to actually spar with like the GB boxing team with AJ and all of that.
I did read that somewhere actually.
Yeah, he
which is amazing.
Yeah, he did spend some time in the UK, training and sparring with the likes of AJ, and then I think Joe Joyce, and
so it's not like he
well.
hasn't been in front of that quality boxer before,
Man,
right?
I tell you what, the thing is like Junior, and maybe that's the other like Junior, he used to be a very quiet boy. He's like this huge fucking giant, it's huge, but he's like sometimes he can be like a little bit shy. He doesn't talk as much, and I think like he has been coming out a little bit more, talking and like doing stuff, getting himself known, and I hope that I can help him in some way, because like that guy is really talented, and he can go places, and I hope more people come out to help Junior as well, and to kind of give him a little bit of a boost he needs, and to propel himself to. But yeah, he's parred with some of the best in the world, and he's fought with Alexander Usyk as well, which was a really tough fight, I feel. But Junior then and now,
very
different.
different.
Yeah, to be real, I really like Alexander Usyk as well. Like Usyk's a really talented, really smart boxer, coming from same team as Lomachenko and all that. But I feel that if Usyk were to fight Junior now, I feel like Junior will knock him out. Like Junior can literally put him down. Like Junior he's just like a truck now.
Yeah.
There's no playing around with that guy. And I think one comment that Eugene made at their press conference, I don't know if you heard, is he was saying he said a few things. Eugene was trying to stir the pot a little bit, But,
we stirred that pot, all right.
And that's what Eugene does. He's smart. I think everything was really going very well. Everybody was very too polite and all that sort of stuff. And I liked what not that it's not a positive thing that the fight got postponed, but Eugene did mention that they lost that element of surprise, because they thought the Junior that they saw previously, the pre-camp Junior, and the Junior that turned up there, they look completely different. And I know because I've seen, and it was very different. He was in shape, and he looked like he was ready to take somebody's head off. And unfortunately things happen, certain medical conditions and stuff like that. But yeah, he is definitely looking in good shape now. And we're looking forward to that fight.
That's going to be amazing.
Would you be attending or from Sky, or would you be involved in all of that?
Well, the fight is on Spark, so it's a bit...
it was on Spark Sport.
So Spark's got the rights to that one, which will be...
But wouldn't like
I'm
other
not going to miss the
media-
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be missing that
So
fight.
you'll be going as a... like.
I won't be going.
Oh, we'll be watching it as not for work.
I'll be watching it as a civilian. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's way better, actually.
You can't not watch the fight, no matter where that fight is happening. You cannot miss it.
Exactly. You wanna watch it.
I think when you think of heavyweights, and when you think of the likes of when Shane Cameron fought David Tua, and those conversations are being resurrected. I love that this whole thing is being celebrated as, you know, like a carnivalesque type situation for New Zealand boxing, for New Zealand heavyweight boxing, because, you know, our local heavyweight boxers have so much to give and it's so exciting to watch. So you can't miss that.
And we have, you know, a few of the other guys like Hemi Ahio as well, who is said to be one of the heaviest heavyweight like punchers. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you talk to
can't wait to
Israel,
finally see him
you
back.
talk to Israel, and Israel says that Hemi punches hard. And you know what I mean? Like, and you ask Junior, and Junior would say that Hemi punches hard. He's not like a huge guy.
Yeah.
But that, and I don't know if you've seen before one of Hemi Ahio's previous fight, like he fought this huge dude. Like this dude was like 3 times the size of Hemi. And I was like, man, but anyway, Hemi punches hard. And I think that's another name that people need to be more aware of.
Yeah. Or aware of again.
Yeah.
You know, he was a big name there for a little while and kind of came away, but it's exciting to see him come back and see what he's got.
Went quiet a little bit. And then,
yeah.
But yeah, man, I hope that he gets, like after this fight here in New Zealand, he gets presented with more bigger names on the world stage, and he can really show you know, what he's capable of.
Yeah.
And you know, you have guys like Panuve Helu as well, who is like he's not like a real tall guy, but this guy is like you know those toys where you kind of turn
Wind
and
them up?
and it winds them up, and there's like, it just has so much power.
Yeah.
This guy he looks small, but he's got a lot of power.
Yeah.
And you know, you talk to some of the heavyweight boxers here, and they'll tell you that, you know, Panuve Helu's another guy to look out as well. So that's really interesting. We're really excited for that. We're only like a month away. It was just February 27.
Yeah.
So that's really close. Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. Do we know how much they're charging for that fight on Park Sport? Was it
1 million. I have no idea.
$60, $70? Was it for pay-per-view? Was it $60, $70 or?
I don't know. I haven't.
Yeah,
looked
it's
into
pretty
that.
interesting. I'll try to remember, and I might put the link in the video.
Start putting your dollars away now.
Yeah. No, I might put the link in the video or just some information on that, because I'd like to let people know how they can watch it, where they can watch it. But one of the other things that I feel like needs to have something done is this pay-per-view price that I'm struggling a little bit with. You know, like I mean, we can't afford it, but doesn't mean that everybody else can.
Yeah.
And I think like I average, you know, we're talking about average, it costs around $50-$60 for a fight, which is not really the cheapest.
Yeah, it's expensive.
And what really interests me is the app that came out from Matchroom Boxing, which is the DAZN app, which the live streaming sports, and I'm waiting for that to come to New Zealand.
Yeah.
I hear that there's some issues with with maybe the organization that you work with, but there might be some issues with getting DAZN in the country. But man, like I want to pay $10 a month and watch all this stuff. You know?
If you know, how do I say it without getting in trouble? I mean, if the competition's there, you know, then you'll probably see a difference.
But I think it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. We're going to squeeze out all this, you know, people who are really charging an arm and a leg, you know, like, you know, how Netflix, like we look at Netflix story with Blockbuster. UFC is a little bit different because theirs is exclusive. So they have their own, well, you have the Fight Pass, and then you have the pay-per-view price from the Fight Pass. But one of the things that I think, man, really upset me, really upset, right? Because
air your grievances. This is
bought the pay-per-view for the AJ and Andy Ruiz 2 on Sky Sport, and then I
think I'm getting a growl.
I bought the the Fury Wilder 2 as well on Sky Sport, and I paid, you had to pay like the $40 or $50 or whatever it was. And the fight was only on the platform for like 48 hours.
Yeah.
And like, I think it was like, I didn't know that, right? So like a week later from the fight, you know, you're still buzzing, and I was like, man, I want to watch the fight again. Log in, and what do you mean it's not there? It's only there for 48 hours? Like, what do you mean? I paid the price.
Yeah.
And I think that one really got to me, like the fact that you really had to pay an arm and a leg, and then like it's 48 hours. I struggle. Like you, in a way, I feel like they're encouraging like all these illegal streamers and people who are recording this stuff. They're gonna record it. They're gonna put it online. Like, why would you encourage? You're not encouraging, but like what you're doing is kind of pushing people in that direction.
Yeah.
And that's why like you have a lot of fights, boxing fights especially, they'll end up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know.
It's good for people watching that.
I don't get any say. I mean, I can put forward your grievance. I'll give you my email address and you can, and I can forward it. This feels like when my father-in-law, he had a problem with his decoder, and he was asking me, how does he fix this decoder? And my dad was actually ringing me and asking me, why can't I get this subscription to this? And I'm just, I don't know. I can't help you.
As soon as you work for the organization, all of the complaints come to you.
My remote's not working. I don't know.
Oh, you get that all the time, I'd imagine. Oh, well. Anyway, we've come to the section now, wise words from the wise lady.
Oh.
Okay, so if you have any, for people watching, listening, what words of advice would you be giving them, in terms of, can be anything, life, work, journalism?
I think you touched on it a little bit earlier, actually, about your experiences in Bali. Like, anything you put out into the universe, you will get back. I've always been a person who will follow anything. If I'm passionate about it, then that's the thing that I will chase. And even if it feels unattainable, if you keep at it, it will happen for you. You just have to believe in yourself and your worth.
That's very good advice. So I hope you guys listen to that. Yeah, take that advice with you. Ravinder, what's your future plans? Do you have anything in the works outside of what, the amazing things that you're already doing? Are you working towards some other stuff? Anything that, you can share exclusively on this?
Exclusively?
Yeah.
I don't know. That stink because I got nothing cool to say. I'm exclusively lame. No. I don't know. I'm hoping to get in the ring this year. That's something I haven't said out loud before.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that I get to work with the crew at the box office, try and get ready, just get fitter and sharper. So hopefully I get to do that.
Let us know when you are fighting. I'll definitely be coming there to support. I'll be at the corner. I'll be the guy who just shouts random advice. Hey, no, move your head. No, 1, 3, 1, 3, 2, no, I won't do that. No. I'll just watch. I won't be
cool. Appreciate it. I'll let the promoters know.
Yeah.
What's out? I'm hoping to. I think the biggest goal that I do have is that I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm really passionate about what I do, the audience that I have to tell it to, like stories from my community, stories about women. Definitely keep pushing our fight sport and the community forward in a direction that we can all, as New Zealanders, be really, really proud of. But I want to carry on doing that, but I do want to recruit me a little army to normalize this, to, when people go, oh, Ravinder's the girl that does these stories. I don't want it to be Ravinder does these stories. I want it to be these people do these stories. So I want to, try and encourage more of this.
Talking about that, sorry, just, about boxing and all that. Are your daughters or your children involved in combat sports or?
My sons train at the Papa Toi Toi boxing gym with Grant and Mosi Amatangi, who I think has just left that gym now in pursuit of Australia. But my boys are doing that casually with school as well. And my daughter is, she was doing jiu-jitsu with her dad, but now is right into touch and netball, so not really into the combat sport.
I think that netball actually takes up quite a bit of your time as well, the training.
It's
not as easy. I think that's the one that people think it's easy. Like, man, idea.
I get more injuries in netball than I ever had training in boxing or any martial arts.
Considering you get hit in the face.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty weird, eh? But
maybe I'll wear a mouth guard to netball. I don't know.
Possibly. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. When you say that, like building this team, is it like in with the work that you're currently doing, or you want to do this outside of the organization?
To be fair, wherever the wind may take me, like I just, when a door opens, I just decide to walk through it, and hopefully I just get to a place where I have other people just as passionate as I am about these kinds of stories.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, well, anyway, before we go, do you have any shout outs? You want to say anything to anyone? Your very loyal and supportive husband who's here with us as well.
Hey!
Who's actually sitting behind the camera. But,
making sure I don't land him in it. Yeah.
Who's supported you throughout the whole journey,
He has. No, my husband's my number one fan. And everyone needs a boss Hunia in their life, because you can't do this alone. It's too bloody hard and time consuming.
What's his phone number? We might borrow it now.
You can put it in the comments below.
Put it in the comments below. No, don't do that. But
no, I have a really, really supportive family, and I, practically thank him every single day, because being a mum with 3 kids and trying to do all of this, and it's tough.
Not an easy task.
No, not at all. So yeah, having a supportive family has been 100% awesome. But thank you to you and what you're doing with these podcasts and giving athletes and all these different peoples from different walks of life a voice to give their story is awesome too. So good on you.
I just talk rubbish, and it's usually the guests who've got the stories, and I'm not. Well, I think that's the other thing. I think we're all storytellers.
Yeah.
We're all storytellers, whether we know it or not. And some people haven't tapped into that gift of theirs of sharing. I think some people actually do have a lot of stories. The up and coming fighters or people who don't have that much recognition. And yes, one of the things that I wanted to do was to learn how to do all this and to try to give them a platform to talk and to share and to kind of amplify their voice. And
totally, a platform is the first step.
Yeah, because I think that's like what the whole conversation. We talk about like athletes here. Is nobody gives them the especially in combat sports, like nobody really gives them the attention. Like nobody wants to cover their story. There are people. I'm not saying it's nobody. There are people who want to do it, but maybe they are bosses, or they might not have the funds or the resources.
Or it's podcasts like this that can educate people about the sport, because I think a lot of the time, especially in my industry, journalists don't cover it because they just don't know about it. Exactly. That's why you'll have 100 people covering rugby because they know how to play rugby and they know the rules and they know the people. But with MMA, it's uncharted territory. So that's why I think once people get more educated about the sport, then the stories and the doors will open.
It's easier to kind of connect and
that's
share
it.
as well.
Yeah, you don't want to go and talk to someone, and I mean the worst thing, and fighters are the worst for this. If you've got someone talking to you like from the media who are all shit and don't know anything about it, they'll be the first ones to call them out and go, why are you even talking to me? Because they're not passionate about something that the fighter is really passionate about. I've seen Izzy do it before. Like he'll sniff it out and go, you don't even know, what are you even doing here? So learn about it, and then you can also have these cool stories too.
Yeah. Perfect. Anyway, thank you very much, Ravinder, for your time coming
You're
today.
welcome.
We really hope to see you do big and great things with what you're doing on Sky, and outside of that, I'll definitely be staying tuned. And also, if you do know when your fight is, let us know, and I'll probably share it on like when we do the podcast if you happen to do it. And
God.
hopefully you have a whole army of people coming to support you there. Who knows? We're looking forward to that. Anyway, thank you very much again for your time. All right, guys, if you stayed this far, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you on the next one.